Hi, and welcome to Deep Six Wrestling. I'm your host, Just Pat, and this is a new weekly series called 5 Matches to Watch. In this series, I'll be taking a look at 5 matches that happened this past week and giving you a reason as to why you should check them out. The one stipulation for this show is 1 match per show, so not 5 matches from Double or Nothing, or not the entire card of a Best of the Super Juniors night. So without further ado, here are my 5 matches of the week. So while I'm not giving personal star ratings or ratings for these matches, this would have to be the weakest of the 5. Cesaro and Ricochet deserve all the credit in the world because they went out there on Raw in the middle of the show and were given 7 minutes to shine, and they did absolute wonders. Ricochet sold his ass off on the one uppercut and just looked like he got completely obliterated. I would draw comparisons to The Rock or even like a younger Dolph Ziggler who just oversells everything, but it was great. It looked fantastic. Both guys really, really excelled in this match. It has me excited to see what they're going to do with Cesaro. I think they might finally be giving him a push, but at the same time, Ricochet is one of the biggest stars to ever come from the indie scene, it seems, and he's also just kind of becoming a guy on Raw, which is kind of sad, but with proper booking, I think him and Cesaro can do wonders, and I think they really could help elevate each other to the next level, potentially even the main event scene. This match was only 7 minutes, as I said, and for the most part, it kind of seems like it's flying under the radar. It has like the least amount of YouTube views on WWE's channel from Raw. It's also just been edited out of the Hulu edition. They kept the entire brawl with Kofi, Xavier, and Ziggler, and they also kept the barbecue segment. The barbecue segment adds nothing to the show, and if we're just talking in terms of wrestling, why would you not put Cesaro and Ricochet on your Hulu edition but choose to keep the barbecue? I don't know, it boggles my mind, but welcome to the Vince McMahon of 2019. If you haven't seen the match, go watch it. You can probably find the full 7 minutes on YouTube. That's how I saw it. Just continue to show support for Ricochet and Cesaro because they're doing great stuff on Raw, and both guys deserve a lot of just love and attention and praise because they're 2 of the shining stars on Raw, and it really is going to suck if both of them don't come out with something this year because they both really do deserve a breakout year. Cesaro's been killing it for years since him and Tyson Kidd won the Raw Tag Team Champion, or not even the Raw Tag Team Champions, just the Tag Team Championships. And Ricochet really just needs something to have a breakout year after being called up and kind of just doing nothing. They broke up him and Alistair, and since then he's just kind of been Ricochet. And that's not a bad thing, but they're also not really giving him any defining characteristics. And while he gave a really good performance in Money in the Bank, he needs more for casual fans to just latch on to. As someone who's been a big proponent of 205 Live since its inception in 2016, I am very glad that one of their matches this week gets to make my list, and that match is Humberto Carrillo versus Jack Gallagher. Sorry if I butchered Humberto's name, but these 2 had a great match, and I mean, just name a more iconic duo than 205 Live and Dead Crowds. I'll wait, because you can't. It's mind-boggling that they won't move this show to before SmackDown or to Full Sail. These guys are having incredible matches. If you put this on to open a pay-per-view, or if you take it to NXT or you put it on the indies, crowds will be leaping from their seats. These guys kill themselves week in and week out with these matches and get no recognition, and it's so goddamn sad. So this week, Humberto and Jack had a great match as per the usual. Both guys are super talented. Gallagher has really been impressing lately. I liked him in the Cruiserweight Classic, and he's been kind of hit or miss on 205 Live, but ever since he went heel and then went unheel back to babyface, he's kind of still in the middle. I don't really know where he's at right now, but him pairing with Gulak was great. Then the split was great, and them introducing Humberto was all great. And these 2 just have magic chemistry in the ring. Humberto has really only had good matches since he came up to 205 Live, and then he had a couple in NXT, but really impressive. His theme song is terrible, though. I can't defend that. But again, so is Jack Gallagher's, and so is Drew Gulak's. All 3 of them have terrible theme songs. If anybody remembers Drew Gulak's theme song from when he first debuted on main roster, it was significantly better, and I will continue to petition for Totally Drew to come back because it was just such a good theme song. and whatever he has now is just like he's an evil politician, but he's not even doing the politician thing anymore, so it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, watch 205 Live because the guys on there are so talented, and Ali is great on SmackDown now. I'm still holding out hope that Buddy Murphy one day debuts on SmackDown ever since they announced that he was coming in the Superstar Shakeup, and still hasn't appeared besides in dark matches. And Cedric Alexander's now on Raw, and he's not really doing anything. It seems like he's going to be doing 24/7 championship stuff, and that's really disappointing. But 205 Live still is one of the two best shows that WWE produces, so do yourself a favor, and if you're watching this, go check out 205 Live. You really won't be disappointed, and if anything, you'll just be disappointed in the crowd, because they're always awful. They're just always awful, except for the times, the very short period that 205 Live was aired live, or it wasn't aired live, it was taped before SmackDown, and it was aired the next day on Wednesdays, and Wednesdays was NXT UK, NXT, and 205 Live, and it was just great stuff. Just the string of those shows back to back to back was insane. Just the from a pure wrestling standpoint, please, just Vince, put 205 Live before SmackDown, and it will work wonders. So if 205 Live is one of the best produced WWE shows, the other one hands down has to be NXT. That's just a known statement at this point. Everybody pretty much enjoys it better than they do the main roster. It has better storytelling, better overall wrestling, it's shorter and easier to get through, and it's just a more enjoyable product for the most part. And this week we had Kushida take on Drew Gulak from 205 Live, and it was great. It was a little short, but I think they're setting up for another match. I believe there was a Fallout video where Gulak challenged Kushida to a submission match. And submission matches are interesting because I feel like in WWE, or really just in general, they can kind of be a niche type thing where you love them or you hate them. But I think these two can really deliver. They're both two very different wrestlers, but they're also very gifted technical wrestlers. Kushida does a lot more high-flying and fast-paced stuff, but Gulak kind of can just really wrestle anyone and turn it into something great. I couldn't name you a bad match he had on 205 Live in his tenure there, and so I'm looking forward to it. And speaking on Kushida, I was never really his biggest fan in New Japan. I always thought he was a great wrestler and everything, but he never just like clicked with me, and I think that was probably because of how he was just like booked. He really never got a chance to shine in my eyes. He always was the king of the junior division, and they never really wanted to push him to the next level. He never got to make it into the heavyweight class until he was leaving and got to wrestle Tanahashi. And I'm glad to see that he's kind of doing his own thing in NXT, and he feels very different from a crowded roster down in NXT. It feels like he's actually going to succeed here. And I'm not taking it away from his accomplishments in New Japan. He's arguably one of the most successful junior heavyweights they've ever had. But I really do think that as kind of worried as some people were about his signing to NXT, I think he does have a bright future. I don't know how long he'll be in the company. I think it might be a short run that he has in NXT, and then maybe possibly on 205 Live or main roster, and then back to Japan. But I think this is going to be a great time for Kushida. The fans seem to love him, and he's putting on great matches so far in NXT. And I'm genuinely quite interested in where he's going to go. So if you haven't checked out NXT this week, definitely go watch it solely for this match. As well as Bianca and Mia Yim's match, they also had a really solid match. They're both kind of capable of better, but it was a pretty solid TV match, so there's not really anything to complain about. But definitely check out Gulak versus Kushida. For my number 2 pick this week, I'm looking at AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, specifically the Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans. Now, while this match isn't the most ideal match that everybody's talking about following the pay-per-view, it is one of the more notable ones, solely because it gives a look at what AEW's tag team division is going to look like when the show launches this fall. The Best Friends came out of this looking like stars. Angelico and Jack Evans also looked absolutely fantastic. I really don't know much about them besides seeing them briefly in Lucha Underground with Angelico's just jumping off buildings and just doing crazy shit. But this match was great. Honestly, it got off to a kind of slow start, and I was really confused about Jack Evans. He was just screaming at the crowd, kind of, but they just went all out. Again, it started kind of slow, but it really just picked up and just got crazier and crazier as it went. But not like over the top crazy. I know some people call it a spot fest, and while there are some really big spots, I don't think it was nearly as big spot heavy as Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers. And honestly, I think this is probably my preferred tag match on the show. I've seen the Lucha Brothers and I've seen the Young Bucks, and I think they both have had better matches than the one that they had at Double or Nothing. And the Best Friends and Angelico and Jack Evans just overall really impressed me with their work in this match. And then at the end of the match, obviously, or after the match, technically, the Super Smash Brothers debuted. And I have absolutely no idea anything about them, but they looked really good. Their finisher looks great. And the whole human throne spot with, I think it was player Uno, just sitting on a mound of bodies was just insane. It looked so cool, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to do. Obviously, their name's going to be changing when AEW launches in the fall on TV, but very interested in them. And just overall looking at AEW's tag team division so far with the Young Bucks, the Lucha Brothers, the Best Friends, Angelico and Jack Evans. Now you have Super Smash Brothers, or whatever they're going to be called. I believe Private Party's also signed. I have no idea who else is going to show up, but they're starting to build something really special here. And they've booked, I have faith that they're going to book their tag team division well. It is the Young Bucks company after all. They're not going to book themselves into oblivion, but their tag team division could be something really, really cool this fall. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And if you haven't watched Double or Nothing, be sure to check out the Best Friends versus Angelico and Jack Evans. Now, if you've seen this last match, there's no real shadow of a doubt as to why it's the number one match this week, and that is El Phantasmo versus Rocky Romero from the Best of the Super Juniors Night 9. These two blew me away. I've known about Rocky Romero since 2016, but I've never thought of him as like a top singles wrestler. And oh my god, this match honestly is one of my top two matches this year. It's between this and Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano at TakeOver New York. This was stellar. Just from the moment the bell hit, not even that, from the moment the entrances started, it was just, this was something. Phantasmo, I'm not really familiar with him since this tournament started, but I've really just grown to love the guy. He's a great heel, and he's just such a shithead, but he's so good at his job. Rocky has always been a good face, and he's also been a pretty good heel, but I never really bought him as a wrestler. He was always just either a commentator or just a hype man, or he was just in a tag team with Beretta when they were Punky Vice. But oh my god, this match is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way, go get New Japan World. Just watch this match, and it will really sell you on the entire junior heavyweight division, if not just all of New Japan. Commentary from top to bottom is fantastic, and it really just reasserts what I thought about Kevin Kelly, that he is the best wrestling commentator working today. He is fantastic in this match, as well as the other two, Chris Carlton and Juice Robinson, both really just added to this match, specifically Juice. Juice's emotion and his investment in this match was just, I was shocked. It was so good from top to bottom. The wrestling was great, the storytelling was great, the crowd was fantastic throughout, and just, I really can't stress this enough. Watch this match. If you're a wrestling fan, even if you've never watched New Japan before, this isn't a match where it's like there's a long-term story that's been told over like the course of shows. Just go watch this, sit down, just be undistracted if possible, and just let it take you over. It's a longer match, but it's definitely worth your time. These two tore the house down, and it's easily one of the best matches this year. And if not the best match this year, it's definitely going to be something that I consider when it comes time for the end of the year. Rocky Romero and El Phantasmo just had potentially the match of the Best of the Super Juniors this year. I really don't know how you top it with this. It's just so good on every level, and it works at an incredible rate. Both men put on a performance of a lifetime. And I believe this was Rocky Romero's first time main eventing Hurricane Hall, and good for him. This is great. This is a great thing. It's a great moment to top off his career. I think he's 36 or 37, so I don't know how many more moments he's going to have to main event Hurricane Hall, or really any shows as a singles wrestler. He's already been transitioning to commentary full-time for the most part, or as Roppongi 3K's manager, but good for Rocky Romero. He seems like just a great guy and a great talent to have on your roster. And yeah, go watch this match. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's so good. You won't be disappointed. Check it out. Yes. And with that being said, that brings us to the end of the first edition of Deep Six's 5 Matches to Watch. Tune in next Thursday for the next episode of this series, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to check us out on Twitter. That'll be up in the top hand corner or down in the description below. Again, thank you for checking us out. Thank you for watching this video, and just have a great weekend.